My Rapist boyfriend forced himself upon me, so I leaked the evidence to his college and got him registered as an intimacy offender. When I was 14, I was dating a 16-year-old boy named John. He was the cool guy in our school and all the girls were jealous of me because I had his attention. He would compliment my body whenever we walked past each other and made sure I knew I was attractive. He said things like, "You look so yummy today and none of the other girls can compete with you." 1 month into our relationship, he invited me over to his house. I was really nervous when I entered because he was behaving weirdly, like being more touchy than usual. But I ignored all the signs, thinking that I was just nervous because this was the first time I was entering a boy's room. But as soon as we entered, he began violently kissing me. I tried telling him to stop, and that I didn't want this, but he didn't listen. I told him that I wasn't mentally prepared to have my first time with him. But he got triggered by that and told me that if I loved him, I won't say another word. I got really scared because I didn't want to lose him, and just let it happen. It wasn't a pleasant experience for me because he was really rough, but he told me that that's the normal way to do it. From that day onwards, he would constantly coerce me into having intimacy even when I didn't want it. I would get bruises on my body and had to wear baggy clothes to hide them, but he didn't care. In public, he would act like the perfect gentleman, but inside the bedroom he would always force me to do things I didn't want to. That continued for over 2 years. When he finally went to college, he himself broke up with me by saying that I was getting too old and dry. It wasn't until I started dating someone else that I realized what normal intimacy actually was. My new boyfriend was a loving, caring guy who made me realize that John had actually been roping me all this time. I remember crying for days when I discovered the truth. But it was all in the past and I couldn't do anything about it anymore. That is, until John decided to come back into my life. He began texting me out of nowhere, and each one of his texts were disgusting. He would say things like, "I know you still miss me, I can help you cheat on your boyfriend." He even said, "I miss when you were 14. Your body was so much smaller and more attractive then." A reminder that he was 18 at this point. I thought about going to the police with this, but they were just texts and I needed more evidence. When I confided in my best friend about this, she revealed a horrifying secret. John had apparently forced himself onto her while we were still dating. My anger was blown through the roof with that revelation. I desperately apologized to my best friend while she comforted me by saying it wasn't my fault. But I had had enough. Forget the police. If they can't do anything, then I will take matters into my own hands. I convinced my best friend to hand me screenshots of her texts. John was such a big idiot that he had literally confessed to all his crimes while boasting his achievements. I knew John still had a lot of friends in my high school, so the first thing I did was spread word about his deeds. He went from being the cool guy on a motorcycle to a disgusting rapist within hours, and the entire school knew the truth. His current girlfriend was still in my high school, and immediately broke up with him. Everyone began sending him texts meaning his character and actions, but that wasn't enough. Now, while the police can't act on simple texts, the education board is a different story. I sent all of the evidence I had to the dean of his college, including the part where he said he preferred me when I was 14. The dean asked me if I wanted to come down to his office and tell them the full story, and I agreed. I told him everything. And even though I broke down crying a few times, he noted down every single bit and believed that I was telling the truth. John was expelled and banned from that college the next day. He wasn't even given a chance to defend himself because the college was very strict on their no harassment policy. His texts were made public and he was registered as an intimacy offender. I never thought that the dean would go this far, but I was glad that this happened. After that, every single college in the area blacklisted him from attending. I saw him cry on social media about how his life was being destroyed, and I was happy to finally get some justice. Little did I know, things were far from over. He moved to a different city and everything calmed down for a while. Me and my friends were finally free from his clutches. However, I was still stalking his social media to see if he would try getting back on his feet. Apparently, he was able to secure a job in the neighboring city. He was going to teach a bunch of preschool kids. I was horrified because I remembered how he said he liked smaller bodies, and immediately contacted his employer. They hadn't done their proper research, so I felt the obligation to tell them what they were doing. I didn't want him near those kids. They were very thankful that I contacted them, and immediately fired him. By now, the money he had saved up was getting low. No one would hire him because he was officially registered as an intimacy offender, and his past was out in the open. He tried to get into colleges in other cities, but since he didn't know I was stalking his social media, he would always post about it. So I kept on reporting him and getting him expelled. What he did to me and my best friend were unforgivable crimes. No matter how much time passes, I won't let him live in peace after what he did. John, if you're reading this, know that you will never have a normal life again. Even if you get married and have kids, I will find them and show them your true nature.